Well, hello, everyone. I am Matt Williamson. How's everyone doing this fine day? Here's the deal. We are recording this Monday, and they just finished practice. They've got an off day tomorrow. That'll be Tuesday. So I think what I'm going to do is, usually I go home those days, but it's the end of camp, and I got a lot of other work I'm going to do. I'm just going to stay here in my dorm, and I think I'm going to take mailbag questions from you guys tomorrow. So I haven't done that for a while because we've been so busy with everything happening at camp, etc. So get me your mailbag questions. We'll do a big mailbag pod tomorrow. And then Wednesday is the last practice in Latrobe for the year, and I'll be on the air for that, and then I'll drive home. Thursday, I will be at the Bills-Steelers joint practice. And, of course, I will be at the preseason game, too, doing pregame hit and the whole postgame show. So, since we talked last, bad news on the first-round pick. Fautanu is out for a bit. No one seems to have a great idea. It's been reported 2 weeks. I think that's very optimistic. Let's just put it that way. I think this is going to be a multiple week situation that could and should and probably will roll into the regular season. From what I've been hearing from multiple outlets, I can't confirm it. I'm not a doctor. I do know some people in the know are saying 2 weeks, but that's not great because, last time we talked, I thought it was time for him to be the right tackle and for Jones to be the left tackle. Well, you can't do that now. So now Jones is exclusively taking right. Dan Moore is exclusively taking left. And assuming it doesn't linger or he doesn't come back too soon, I do think it's probably still in the cards that Fautanu comes back as the starting right tackle and then Jones goes over. But that's not ideal, because that could be week 2, that could be week 3, that could be right before the opener. But in the meantime, he's not going to practice his craft, and both those guys need work where they should be. Jones on the left, Fautanu on the right. So that's unfortunate, but that's how this league works. And in some ways, they are a little fortunate that they avoided, a catastrophic injury. I guess it could have been worse. Okay, but better news I think you're going to like hearing on the O-line is I think Zach Frazier is getting closer and closer and closer to being the starting center. I mean, we mentioned how well he played, and I think he's going to get more and more on his plate. My prediction as it stands here on August 12th is Zach Frazier will be the opening day starting center. And I'm feeling pretty good about that unless there's some setback, but I think that's a very good step in the right direction. And not that he started camp slow, but he's finishing camp really strong. BetOnline's your number one source for your summer sports this season, for Major League Baseball, golf, and so many more. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet online, where the game starts. Some other news and notes around this team. Russell Wilson is basically back and is acting as the number one quarterback and looking good doing so. And he's running with the ones exclusively from what I've seen. Give or take, they rotate a lot of people in, of course. They're going to use a lot of different skill guys and a lot of different personnel groups. But that doesn't mean Fields is no longer getting reps with the ones. He is, and I think he looks quite good as well. And I am not blown away, but I'm impressed with how much better he looks at the end of camp versus the beginning. Fields played pretty well the other night, but I think Wilson's going to be the starter. I mean, I think that'll basically be official before you know it here. So that's good news, I think. I mean, been waiting for it, but not unexpected. I got like 6 or 7 other just small notes here. There has been some talk, and you know me, I'm not a reporter, I'm not breaking news, but Ramon Wilson seems to be on track to be back soon, at least. I mean, like, you see him in the cafeteria, he's not in a boot. I think that's promising. And I kind of look at their receiver room right now. Like if you were to tier them, Pickens is alone. Then there might be a little gap. And then there's Jefferson alone to me. And then there's Austin and Miller are the next tier. And I think those are the guys scheduled to make the team. And Ramon Wilson's kind of off on the side, like you can't tier him yet, but he could easily, if you're being optimistic, he could probably get into that tier 2 neighborhood, with Jefferson as a different role. But I hate rookies getting injured early. So we'll see. I don't want to get your hopes up on that, but I do think there's more good news than bad around Ramon Wilson. The gunner situation on the punt team is really rough right now. I mean, it was Fitzpatrick and Bishop this past week, and neither look good. I don't think there's any confidence in either one to be, quote, starting gunners this year, because last year it was Pierre and Boykin who did a nice job. And Fitzpatrick, kind of like Boykin, but even more so, doesn't really deserve offensive snaps. So you better be a great gunner like Boykin, and I don't think he is. Bishop, we'll see. I'll get more about him in a minute here as well. You wonder the cornerback depth overall with Sutton suspended, with him out of the mix. With him in the mix, I really like the cornerback depth because he's versatile. He can play inside and out. He can see he's taking a leadership role with the young corners, but you can't count on him for a big stretch. So I wonder if that's a position you might snoop around for a third outside guy. And I know you guys are excited about Trice and Rush, but they haven't distinguished themselves, and they haven't distinguished themselves as gunners. So might there be a fourth-year veteran corner that has gunner background? Maybe. I don't have those names, but I do think that's something to keep an eye on. And along those lines, I want to talk about the two fellas that wear number 35. We'll start on defense since we were just talking there, and one of them's Graylin Arnold. And Graylin Arnold certainly seems to be surpassing Bishop as the true slot corner. He certainly was today on Monday. I know he's played special teams, but I don't know how much gunner experience he has. But he makes plays consistently in practice. He's a pretty sturdy built slot. So Graylin Arnold is somebody you should definitely pay attention to in these upcoming games, 35. Just like Jonathan Ward, also number 35. I think he's easily now the best of the rest running backs. Cordell Patterson's back. We'll talk about him in a second. So the top 3 running backs are pretty set. But I think Ward is the best of the rest. And he's playing a fair amount of special teams. He's been pretty impressive player both in the game and since he's been basically in a Steeler uniform. So practice squad seems like the move unless he's a great special teamer. I mean, as mentioned, other than Hayward, they don't really have a tight end that's a great special teamer. They don't really have a running back that's a great special teamer, returners aside. Same with wide receiver. So usually you get 1 or 2 from those skill positions. Maybe he can be good enough on teams to make that, interesting. Patterson did return, and he practiced today, and I found it funny, funny, but like Arthur Smith and Tomlin kind of throwing him a bone in 7 shots. They gave him an end around, and I think it was the second rep. He took to the house. I haven't seen an end around since Matt Canada left, but he's a big physical guy. You want to get the ball. And then shortly after, they lined him up in the eye behind Coletto and just pounded it up the middle. So it was fun to see Patterson on the field, I guess is my point. And I think there is plans in place for his bizarre, interesting, unique skill set. We also saw Lowry on the field for the first time today, defensive lineman, and you could tell he was excited to be out there, played with a lot of energy, veteran guy. I'm hoping we see quite a bit of him in the preseason just to see a better feel for what he is. But I think he will be a very valuable, consistent type defensive line depth, that should play every game. I think I told you guys this whenever we recapped the game, and just watching Quez Watkins out there today trying to return punts, he's really, really bad at it. I don't even know why you keep that experiment going. But folks, he isn't the punt returner. Like Calvin Austin's going to do that. So the fact that he was so bad returning punts in the game and contributed to your losing isn't going to hold up because it's not his job. There's no way he's going to be a punt returner in a game. I mean, just no way. He's really bad at it. That's Austin. So if you don't know, if a player goes on, and this is an NFL rule, if a player goes on injured reserve in camp, you're done for the season. So final rosters aren't set. If you're on IR, you cannot come back. And unfortunately for Brandon Fehoko, he was placed on IR since we spoke last. Benton is still kind of dealing with that eye injury. They signed 2 dudes off the practice or off the street at nose tackle, none of whom I know anything about. So at the moment, and probably into the Bills game, they are really, really short on nose tackles. You know, Lee, the rookie, played at some, but I don't see him projecting there at all. I mean, he's biting and scratching, doing the best he can, but that's just not what he is. So at the moment, they really don't have much in the way of nose tackles, but that'll find its way out. Last thing I have is, it just so happens, I mentioned tomorrow's going to be the mailbag, and I got a question. I was almost going to save this one for the mailbag tomorrow, but I'll just address it now because I already answered it on Twitter. I was asked about KZ, and I'm not saying I've soured on him. I just think that he is what he is at this point, that he is just a guy, you know, that he's a below average starter. He's replaceable. He doesn't bring enough to the table in terms of strengths. You know, how do you really maximize what he can do? I don't think he has traits that are maximizable, I guess. And again, I'm not trying to get you guys excited, but they have a lot of cap space. What if you would get rid of him and put Justin Simmons back there? Like, do you need it? No. But it wouldn't be bad. I mean, he very well might think he's worth way more than he should be. I guess he visited the Saints last week. But he's going to be on some team, and put him on a 1-year deal, give him a little below market value, and team him with Minka. I don't know. I just think that it's an interesting player still out there that you could get with your cap space. And yeah, they're going to give a lot of that space to some extensions, and who knows about Brandon Ayuk. I almost wasn't going to bring his name up, but nothing's been done. I guess there's still a chance he ends up here. So there's no urgency, but I just look at KZ and think, I use this term a lot if you've listened to me, especially on this podcast, that he's just somebody you want to play against and not with. You know, like, he's not bad. It's just, I said that about Allen Robinson last year. Like, there's those type of dudes. It's like, he's easy to play against, and you're kind of happy he's on the other team. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at on him. And I think the story's been basically written to where kind of know who he is. So there you have it. I do have a lot. Didn't have this in the notes, but I know he's just a rookie and he's a very raw player. But the more I watch Watts, the rookie from Texas, I think he may end up being starting safety next year. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to go off of here. Maybe he's our gunner problem too. You know what I mean? Like, I should have said this when we were talking gunners, that Trice, Rush, Watts, to me, are the next guys up to see if they can do it. They don't have much experience doing it, but at least they're more talented. So we'll see. All right, everyone. I'll send out a tweet, but give me some mailbag questions, and I will be chilling in my room tomorrow, answering them for you, and we'll get all caught up on that. All right, take care.